7 o'clock. I'd like to call the Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Ms. Brown, would you please take the roll?
Sunday, Mumgarde, Gaines,
Here.
Glover, Jaworski, Klug, Stubbe, Engberg.
Here.
We have a scout with us tonight from Troop 405. I'd like to invite you up and lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
We do.
And a current copy of the Opens Meeting Act is posted on the counter as you came in. We have no presentations tonight. Ms. Powers, Administrator's Report, please.
Thank you. The city received an update from the county and HDR and improvements to Platteview Road from Highway 75 to Highway 50. HDR evaluated several options and is now proceeding with the preliminary design work on the route that scored the best during evaluations. And we will keep you updated on the project as it progresses. Weather permitting, the city will begin pavement milling on April 5th for the new pavement surfacing as part of the city's annual street improvement plan that you approved at the last council meeting. One area of focus for the UBAS will be from 1st to 5th Streets, in the side streets to 6th Street, including 1st to 72nd and American Parkway. The other area will be Golden Gate Drive, Applewood Drive, the Monarch Place neighborhood, and the neighborhood south of Cedardale Road and east of Cedardale Cemetery. The theme for this year's library's summer reading program is Tales and Tales. The library is looking for guest readers with the city to record themselves reading children's books that have animal themes. And if you're interested in being a guest reader, either let myself or Matt know and we'll get you on the list. And finally, there'll be an audit ad hoc committee meeting prior to the next city council meeting on March 16th at 5:30 p.m. in the art room. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman Glover, second by Councilwoman Klug. Do we have any proponents or opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Sunday, Mumgarde, Gaines,
Yes.
Glover, Jaworski, Klug, Stubbe, Engberg.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. We have no items for first reading. We've got a number of public hearings. Item E1, Ordinance 1912, an ordinance to amend Chapter 205 zoning ordinance, Article 36, having to do with off-street parking. The applicant's the city of Papillion. It's a public hearing. Do we have any proponents or opponents? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Item E2, Ordinance 1922, an ordinance to amend Section 16629, cutting curb of Article 3, Cubs and Gutters of Chapter 166, Streets and Sidewalk Regulations of the Papillion Municipal Code, having to do with adoption of regulations for driveway and on-street parking location, design, and construction. The applicant's the city of Papillion. Open the public hearing. Any proponents or opponents? Close the public hearing. Item E3, Ordinance 1923, an ordinance to amend Chapter 205-208C of Article 33 Supplemental Use Regulations of Chapter 205 Zoning Regulations, having to do with accessory uses for civic use types. The applicant's the city of Papillion. Open the public hearing. Any proponents or opponents? Close the public hearing. Item E4, Ordinance 1924, an ordinance to amend 1, Table 20538, Permitted Uses Tables of Article 4, Zoning District Regulations of the Papillion Municipal Code to allow multifamily residential in the CC Commercial District, Community Commercial District by special use permit. And number 2, Section 20589, Site Regulations of Article 14, Community Commercial District to adopt site regulation for multifamily residential. The applicant is Collective Development in care of Max Honecker. This is a public hearing. I'll open it. Do we have any proponents? If you come up to the podium. Oh, okay. Any opponents? I'll close the public hearing. Item E5, ordinance 1925, an ordinance to amend Papillion Municipal Code, Chapter 117, to amend the number of allowable fireworks permits based on population and to create a scoring process for selection of licensees. Again, a public hearing, I'll open it. Any proponents or opponents? Close the public hearing. Item E6, ordinance 1926, an ordinance to amend Papillion Municipal Code, Chapter 117, to provide for clarification of who can perform work related to the issuance of a fireworks permit and to require an affidavit stating compliance. Open the public hearing. Any proponents or opponents? Close the public hearing. Item F1, Resolution R210035. This is a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a special use permit to allow multifamily residential as the principal use for the property legally described as Lot 29A Huntington Park replat, generally located at 1409 East Gold Coast Road. The applicant is Max Honolker. It's a public hearing. Any proponents or opponents? Did you want to say anything? Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve? Pick it up during council discussion or during public hearing? Okay. Can you state your name for the record?
My name is Max Hocker with Collective Development.
I wasn't even close when I did that with Mr. Mumgard.
Okay, as I understand it, you purchased Liberty Lodge.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us what you're going to do. This is commercial time. Tell us what you're going to do.
Okay. So this was kind of a rundown hotel built in the 80s. And we saw an opportunity to purchase it, to renovate the units and more formally run it as apartments. It was built as an extended stay. So it had kitchens. You had people that stayed there for an extended periods of times. Many of the residents, when we purchased it, had been there, kind of acting as apartment residents. But it was formally designated as a hotel or motel. So our plan we're renovating the units to upgrade them, and we'd like to sign long-term leases with prospective tenants. And because of the zoning, it's in a CC zoning, community commercial. It doesn't allow for apartments, even though it was informally ran as apartments for a long time. So we guess we're going through the process to try to. Well, first we want to make it so the use would be permitted with a special use permit. So granting that would give like an open yes to every single community commercial district. It would just be someone like me would have the opportunity to buy a property and then go through the special use application process to get you guys to.
Okay, how many, I'm a bit confused on how many rooms you're going to have there.
So we are not changing any of that. There's 38 there to begin with. So we're just upgrading them and not moving any walls. We're really just keeping the existing layout.
Okay, here's my context. We've had a lot of discussion about something called affordable housing. And I mean, that's everything from apartment buildings to individual houses to, anything in between. Now you're going to kind of convert from lodging into more of an apartment type activity. Here, I'm trying to figure out if you're going to fit within that scale of quote affordable housing and where you'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I like to describe it as affordable housing. I mean, I consider affordable housing. Sometimes affordable housing means to some people like subsidize or use vouchers. I describe it as just like we're building, we're renovating to make it affordable market rate housing.
Okay, well, behind you are some very large apartment complexes.
Sure.
Generally in rates, they rent like for the year, a year-long lease.
Yep.
How will you compare?
Yeah, we want to do the same. We want to studios, and we'll be around 675, 695 plus utilities, which I believe is on the lower end of the market for.
Okay, you're going to be lower in rent than what we're seeing for your neighbors?
Yeah, and that's kind of the opportunity with this permit, being able to convert what was a motel. You can buy existing construction for much less than the cost of building it new, which would allow us to rent some of the apartments out of the back end for a less expensive rate. Make
Okay,
it more affordable, so more working class blue collar can afford to live there.
okay, well, thank you. I welcome that. Because as I say, we've had a lot of discussion about quote affordable housing. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But you apparently going to provide lodging in a segment that we don't currently have much of here in Papillion, correct?
Yes, sir. It's very expensive to build new, so being able to take something existing and then repurpose it. So that's the goal, especially with adding the special use permit option to the zoning. I mean, we've done this before with a couple other hotels, one in Plattsmouth, one in Exarban. And I think it's an opportunity, especially as some hotels become run down or obsolete, whether it's due to location or just condition, to be able to buy them and having a higher, better use as apartments.
Well, I'm in favor of it. And welcome to Papillion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have so the public hearing's closed. Do we have a motion to approve resolution R210035? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. So second by Councilman Glover. Any council discussion? And just a quick clarification for either Mark or Travis. So the previous item was the public hearing for the ordinance that actually allows this to occur. And we haven't voted on that yet. That'll be at next week's council meeting, but yet we're acting on the special use permit tonight. So is it implied that if this passes, that the special use permit is still contingent upon the ordinance passing next council meeting? Is that correct? So I just want to make sure as people vote that they understand that just voting tonight doesn't actually grant it. We have to meet that next condition at the next council meeting. Any discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines.
Yes.
Glover. Jaworski.
Yes.
Klug. Stube.
Yes.
Engberg.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item F2, Resolution R210036, a resolution to approve right-of-way acquisition for 72nd Street and Applewood Drive, Tract 1. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R210036? Motion by Councilman Klug, second by Councilman Stube. Any proponents or opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines.
Yes.
Glover. Jaworski. Klug. Stube.
Yes.
Engberg.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item F3, Resolution R210037, a resolution to approve the First Amendment to the Lincoln Way subdivision agreement. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R210037? Motion by Councilman Jaworski, second by Councilman Glover. Any proponents or opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines.
Yes.
Glover. Jaworski. Klug. Stube.
Yes.
Engberg.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. It's all the regular agenda items. Next is committee reports. I believe the only one that met was Finance Administration. Mr. Ingberg, you're the chairman again, aren't you?
There we go. Yes, I am. Thank you. We had two items on our agenda tonight. One of which is golf course rate structure. We have not adjusted it for some time. And so we made a recommendation, Rob and the folks out there came up with a fee structure that places basically in the middle of the fees in comparison to other metro courses. Not on the high end, not the very bottom, in the middle. They based that on I think they adjusted about 50 to 60% of the rates they considered. And we also recommended to the city administrator to meet with the mayor about reinstituting a golf ad hoc committee for the purpose of meeting late this summer to start incrementally getting it where it should be, taking into account capital improvements and those types of issues. The next item was a discussion of our water meters and replacement of them. It's been a long term discussion, which began in 2015 and continued to 2017. I believe Mr. Thompson, the city engineer, did some fee study in 2019. In any case, we were given a great deal of information. Alex Evans, and along with Jeff, did a great job putting that information for us together, putting it together for us. And out of the three options, after cleaning up a few matters for presentation, it'll be coming before the council as an option 3 that'll allow for a meter program fee approach, which will allow us to start a program replacing the multitude of water meters we need to replace because of age and functionality. And that'll be coming to the full council shortly.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. No other committees met. We have any comments from the floor? Seeing none. Any council comments? Mr. Mumgarden.
I just wanted to draw everybody's attention to something that I asked the staff to put in front of you tonight. Print out of an email that was, over a month and a half ago. It relates, and I just want to explain, it relates to the fireworks ordinance amendment that I'm proposing for next meeting, using the standard of the maximum number of licenses that can be safely regulated by the city agencies. I'll have more to say about it, obviously, on our third reading to that ordinance. I just wanted to let you know what it is that I've had put in front of you.
Thank you. Mr. Ingberg.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to congratulate and thank Jeff Thompson, the city engineer and public works director, for a couple of things. One is the public works department's response to all of the snow clearing we've had recently, but I guess more importantly and more recently, having driven around a lot of area recently, I've noticed that they've been out filling potholes for several weeks now, and I've seen them out at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they've really getting ahead of the curve. And I applaud that kind of leadership to get started on early before it gets out of hand. Makes for much better driving conditions for people in the community. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
I just want to clarify on the.
Can you state your name for the record?
Walnut Creek. Can you clarify the water meters? The fees that you mentioned. What is the?
He can't, but let me explain why. Actually, I was talking to the scouts about this earlier. One of the things under the Open Meetings Act, we can only discuss items that have been published. And so it wasn't a published agenda item, so we can't get into an active dialogue on it because it wasn't published to the public. We do have committee reports where they can give a quick update, but then to go into a dialogue on that actually would get into the discussion. But with that being said, any of the items that come out of committee, when it comes time for council to start debating if they're going to take action on them, those will be fully out into the public. The presentations will be there, so it will come out. But then on the offside, outside of the meeting, if you want to reach out to staff, they can give you a quick update on what it is. But we can't do it in the meeting for the Open Meetings Act. Thank you. Just a couple things from the calendar of the last couple of weeks. fairly typical of what's been going on. One, we continue to have the weekly update with the health department. That's the Sarpy Cass Health Department. And again, that's one with all 5 cities, the county, a number of some Cass County representatives and Offutt Air Force Base, just to get a weekly update. The main thing is the vaccines. Up until a couple of weeks ago, Sarpy was being allocated about 2,000 vaccines a week. The week of the big snow and the extreme cold, which was 2 weeks ago, nothing was delivered, but that was a nationwide issue. Those did show up the following week. So I think last week they actually had to do about 5,000 of them, but that's that double week allocation. Some of the weeks they've been getting closer to 2,600, which I think is a good sign. And then, of course, with the Johnson & Johnson just being approved, I think they're indicating in a couple of weeks we should start seeing some of that. So they expect a pretty big increase in the allocations as long as Nebraska gets the allocation of the Johnson & Johnson. I think it was last Thursday, about 6.7% of the population, if they wanted it, had received the vaccination. And CHI, Midlands Hospital, and a couple of the pharmacies are running clinics. They're getting allocations for them. And then through the health department, every once in a while, they want pop-up clinics. And Papillion Landing has actually been volunteering. I think we did a pop-up clinic in the field house. And so we're continuing to offer up the resources if we can do that. Each week, they've moved the age group down about 5 years. And I think it was this week they just hit the 65, which is that phase 1 age group. So if anybody was born, well, what would it be? 1951 and later, they qualify based on age. So that's the health. If you have questions about what's going on, just let us know before Thursday. So that's when we have that call, is Thursday mornings. United Cities is the other one. Legislature's in session, so that's very active. Public hearings are going on now. And so we've got a process where all 5 cities, we meet every Monday morning just to talk about what's on the hearing schedule for the week. And is there anything in there that we're interested in? And do we need to be prepared to go down and testify or give any factual data? And we got a couple of them that we've given some on. There's a number of bills related to police reform that our chief and the department's been actively involved in and getting a lot of data down there. And then there's a few on some economic development incentives where we're being asked for our input and we're providing that. But that's where most of the activity is. But if you're watching the hearing schedule, which is online, and there's any bill you're interested in, make sure you let us know so we can raise the awareness on that. We had a good call with the Postal Service. If you remember last year, we raised the issue that most people see Papillion zip code as 68046 and 68133. That's Papillion. But there's a number of businesses inside of Papillion city limits that might have an Omaha address. They might have a La Vista address. I think we have some with a Springfield address, some with a Gretna address. And so we were working with the post office to see if we can rationalize the city to our actual city, because the practical ramification of that is if somebody has an address of La Vista and they're going to fill out their state sales tax reporting, they put their address, which is La Vista. The Department of Revenue, there's a high likelihood they're sending our tax revenue to La Vista. And under the current state law, there is no transparency, and we have really no ability to audit that. And so we believe we're probably losing sales tax to other jurisdictions. And so we wanted to work with the post office to fix that. That literally could be an act of Congress to cause that to change. But we had a very good call with them last fall. The first change they made for us is in several zip codes. They did update USPS.gov, so Papillion would be a recognized alternate name. Still not the primary, but it's one step closer. And then we had a follow-up call this week to learn a little bit more. And what we learned is there's kind of zip codes in about 3 different zones. One is the 68046, 68133. People see that as Papillion. That's solid. Then there's the ones where USPS.gov has us as an alternate address. What we're attempting to do, and Mr. Sturzman is going to test it out, is when we do a new development, we actually issue the official address. And we're going to attempt to issue those with the alternate address of Papillion. and see if that works, because that'll slowly start fixing this issue. The issue with that and why we got to test it is a lot of systems depend on GIS 911. And if we do that, is GIS records going to be right? And are we going to mess anything up? So we had a good call with the post office. They think in theory we should be able to do it. So we're going to test that. And again, new developments in would be identified to Papillion. The bigger issue is there are 2 zip codes that as of right now, we won't be able to change at all, and they still will never be identified to Papillion. And that's kind of a big industrial area that's really growing. And the issue there is some of those zip codes actually they don't go to the Papillion post office proper. They go to the Gretna post office, the Springfield, and it starts messing with PO boxes, and it got pretty technical, but we're still working with them. But the goal is every zip code within our city limits is identified to Papillion. Large project. Post office has been pretty cooperative, but it's going to be a long-term effort. So probably a lot of education as well. And somewhere in there is probably some work with the legislature to get some transparency in that process around the sales tax reporting. So long-winded update on the calendar, but that was a big meeting we had this week. A couple of reminders on the calendar. The cleanup days is the April 19th to the 25th. Again, this year, we're going to do it where the staff does not help unload. And that's because of the COVID restrictions, close contacts. So then I think people were pretty accepting of that last time, why we were not helping them unload. And then if you're interested in the Nebraska Planning Zoning Association workshops that occur, there's one of those on March 12th. Let Mark or Travis know and they can get you information on that. I think that's all of my updates. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Stube. Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarden. Gaines.
Yes.
Glover. Jaworski. Klug. Stube.
Yes.
Engberg.
Yes.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. We are adjourned.